Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to all. Welcome back to ISLF Academy Excel User Series 3.0. In today's video, we are still gonna play around with formula versus formula. In our previous video, we saw how to work with a ribbon function versus formulae, and today I'm going to replace the old formula with a brand new text formulas released in Office 365. In our old formula, it is making our life a little more complex to break it, but a new formula we can do that without a fuss, and that's gonna make your life much more faster than what you normally do. And we're going to use a spilled function using the dimensions here. So let's see how to do that. I'm going to make this into two different videos because the old school method will be a little longer than normal. Then I will create this video as 2.1 for the new function. The new function will not take a lot of time, and the old function does that. So again, I'm going for the traditional old school method of extracting a data from a new school way of doing it by using a dynamic array functionality in Office 365. In old school method, this is what I'm trying to achieve right now. So I'm going to achieve these datas from our list, and I have an ID that comes on the left hand side, which is a complete ID here, and I have an ID which is partially available from the whole part number mentioned for a product here. Again, this is used to do a VLOOKUP, so we want to create a partial VLOOKUP. For that, we need to build this as a base formula. That's what I'm about to do. I will start with the lighter formula first. So I'm going to start with the basic formula here, where I'm going to extract this B25R, C20R, and Q20L from the transaction available or the part number available from the left hand side. Again, this is a straightforward point. Here I'm going to use one more function here, which I didn't mention in our list. That's called len. And here I'm going to find out the length of the data here. So when I find the length of the data across the data set, the length stays similar here. It is not jumbled around here. So if that is the case, then I can use the logic here, and I have to check out where the data lies in my part number here. So the B25R, C20R, Q20L lies on the rightmost part of my part number here. So what I'll do is I'll give a right equals. I'll use the formula right, select that and give a comma, and then give 4 characters and close the bracket and give an enter. And then when I populate that, that's going to give you the whole list here. So this I can achieve it even using the new school methodology. So I'll just say equals right, select the whole data here, give a comma, and then give a 4 and give a control enter. That's going to populate all my data. The spilled array function, I'm using it in old school methodology. Again, this will not work for you if you're not using Office 365. If you're using this in some other version, probably this might not be working for you. Probably I didn't check in 2021 version yet, so I will go through that and come back and give you an update on that. But in Office 365, definitely you will get this jump up in data faster here. And this is the easiest formula that I've used in right. If you're using the same logic using the new functionality that is called TEXTAFTER, so I'm going to say use a TEXTAFTER here. Again, when I do that, this is a little more cumbersome to use it because we are going to tell the system to do a lot of things here. So the text is this, and the delimiter that lies in the text, that is an hyphen in front of all the data as a delimiter here. And then I want to extract the data that lies after the second instant of my hyphen. So my first instant hyphen will give you 2, 3, 4. If I give the second instant hyphen, then that's going to give you B25R here automatically. So I'm going to give the instant number is 2 and close the bracket and give an enter. That's going to populate, and I can use this in the spilled dimension also. So I'm going to select the whole text here, give a comma, and then add the hyphen here, comma 2, and then give an enter. That's going to populate all my data. Whatever I did in right functionality here, the same formula I've used to extract in the other dimensions here, where I used a TEXTAFTER function for us. But the other formulas that I'm about to use might really make a lot of time consuming aspects. So I'm planning to do those old school functions first, and then in my next video, which will be a continuous video of whatever we are doing right now, on the text functions which is available in Office 365. When I go back to the logic again, I want to find out the length of these dimensions again. This time the data is not uniform. The data is coming for each and every line item differently. Again, when I do something like this is going to take a lot of time for me to extract, and if I do it one by one, that's a long shot to do it. So how do I handle this better? This is where our logic will work beautifully. And again, I'm going to use the first formula called search here. Again, when I use a search function, there are two different functions that I have, which is almost similar to extract, but when I go for a find function, it is a case sensitive function, so please use it carefully. This is a non-case sensitive function. If the data are in any other case, that's gonna make our life a little more easier when we are working with it. So what function you are using, how the data opens up here, based on that the data works for you. So now if this is all comes in all small letter, then a search function is the go-to function for us to extract this. If you're using a find function, then it's going to be different. Again, I'm not going to anyway extract a text here. I'm going to extract the search function using an hyphen, so there won't be any case sensitiveness in that list. So we can play around with that data better. So I'm going to use the search function first. So when I use the search function, let me just show how I'm going to use it. I should thank Mr. Mike Gribben, the owner of Excel is Fun, and he's my teacher in many component. I just follow him, I admire him, and I'm a biggest aspirant for him for a very, very long time, and I aspire to become Mr. Gribben. Unfortunately, it's not going to happen anyway, because he's way up in the league. So he's the one who taught me to build a formula in this way. So after that, I follow that, and it really worked for me so beautifully. So we call this as inside out formula. Whenever I create a formula, I'm not going to create it from the leftmost part of the formula. Instead, I write the formula first, hit the first output, and then I'll embed that formula with the outermost formula that is required here. So I'm going to use the first logic called search here. I'm going to find out where I have an hyphen in my data in this text function. So when I do that, automatically it's going to populate a list here. I have a format of rupees here, so I've just converted that into a number first, and then now this is the character place where my hyphen lies in this data set. But what I want is I want to extract one shorter than this. That's the way I'm going to do it. Again, when I go back to the ID here, the ID belen colon quad is coming on the leftmost part of my part number here, so I can use the function called left here. Then I'm selecting the text here, that's good, and then I give a comma. I know the number of characters that I want to extract is a 6 here, but I already have a number in my search output. I'm going to use that to get my data output here. So that's way it's going to give you the list. You can see that the formula that I'm adding here, the first formula is search, which allowed me to find out where the hyphen lies in my data, and the second formula that I'm about to do right now is the left, which will allow me to know exactly how I can extract this data here beautifully. And then when I do that, that's going to extract the data for me with an hyphen in it. But my data set, I'm about to do a VLOOKUP little later, so I need a data set to be exact here. To achieve that, I will just make one more dimension. I'll minus one extra character that is there available in my list. When I populate that, that's going to extract the data exactly to this list. If you want to check whether the answer is coming correctly or not, then you can use one more function in Excel called exact. I'm going to just say use exact, select this, and then comma this. That's going to give you an answer called true, and this works effectively. Again, this will not work very effectively when the formatting of the text works in here. It only calculates an alphanumerical data, alphabet separately and numerical data separately in a better way. Let me jump to the next part of the new text function here, then I'll come back to the subsequent function a little later, which will allow us to learn more about it. So I'm going to go back and do this job in our new function. I'm not going to do anything very big here. I'm going to just say equals, I'll say text before. Then I say this is the text that I want, and then I give a comma, and I want to say the delimiter is this. So by default, the delimiter will come into play. If you want to give the instant here, so I want to give the first instant here, that's going to get my answer beautifully, and I'm not sweating anything too much, just getting the answer really easier. But when I worked on this point, I literally checked out every aspect of it. I did a search, I get a left, then I reduced something in here. I don't want to do any of these dimensions here. If you are using Office 365, you can use a split array function here, Again, I'm going to just go back to text before, select the whole data here, comma, double quotes, hyphen is the delimiter here, and then I want the first instant before whatever I have. I want to get that as an output. When I give an enter, that's going to populate all my answer here. As this video grows bigger, I would like to teach you the next 2 dimension in the upcoming video. So I just gave you a small idea on how to use the right function and a left function with a search function in it. I even gave why search functions and find functions are slightly different here, because search function does the data even though the data is it's a non-case sensitive, but when you use a find function, we will use a case sensitivity as a key criteria here. I will use find when I come back to the next video, where I'm going to talk about mid and the functionality of search or find, and then I'm going to use a substitute, search, and the other functions here. How do I use that in the brand new spilled array function or dynamic array function? We will see that in the upcoming video. Thanks for watching this video. This is Vinod signing out from iSelf Academy, video number 2 in Excel User Series 3.0. Thank you so much. Have a great day ahead.